So, welcome to this second chapter, and the first thing that I will do is I will save it as 0.0 2. This is the starting base, and now we will jump to the first version of it, or in that case, maybe I should rename it 1. This makes more sense. So, yeah. I hope you will understand that I do some mistakes from time to time. And what we have right here is our scene from last chapter, where we have plucked out the major shapes for the scene composition. And what we also need is we need to do a test render. And I will place a very I will use a very small resolution. I have placed a RenderMan lob. I will move down the max indirect diffuse to 3, continuation path to 3. Should be enough. Continuation depth, I mean, not path. And yeah, maximum samples, we don't need much. We need 16. This is 1 by 1. So I will start a render, and yeah, it looks crazy reflective, and this is because we don't have any materials yet. And for that we can drop down a material library and maybe merge those shapes a little bit together, something like that. So those are the meshes and those are the forests, and this is the machine. The machine should be separated. So, and those are the forests. It looks a bit chaotic now, but yeah, this is something that we can put in a box so that it looks way more organized. So here we have a material. Maybe we should place a very simple one. Pixel material diffuse material, pixel diffuse, no, not pixel diffuse. We want to create a llama diffuse and a llama surface so that all the shaders are llama in our network. And I will make this little brown for the ground. So this is ground matte. And it should be applied. Material library 1, where is it? Right in here. And it should be applied to all these objects right in here. So I put the asterisk into it, and so those are our trees. Of course, we can copy paste this, same procedure as here. This is our environment, and this should be brown, something like that. And here we go back and make it green so that we know, oh wow, that we know that this is ground material forest material. So now you see the naming is important. And we will use the same method to create the machine material and make the material something like that. So here we have it. So our wind generators have the correct texturing, so that's only for the blocking. So I will save the stage to the second one. Override, of course. It's saved. So, and what we also place is a basic dome light. So I will create a new merge right in here and a dome light and link it right in here, and we give it a very basic sky color, a little bluish, very tiny, and we'll make it a little brighter maybe, so just to have a sky or something like that. And I will also place a distant light, so a new merge right in here, our distant light, we call this sun, and we can call this skylight. So of course we need to make this a little larger so that we can see where the light is heading, and currently not in the desired direction. Maybe this will look much better. Of course we need to crank up the sun itself. So, and now we also get some interesting ideas for our shadows and how these shadows will work. So maybe the exposure. I think this could look really nice. So the aim is to have something like a scene from the evening or the morning. So I will tint the light a little with the color temperature values. This looks much better and more warm. So I kind of like this. Yeah, okay. Here we have it, a new box. We can make this a little. Organizing is the most important thing, not just in work, but also in art. Something like that. So that's what we have for now. Let's save the file. And the first thing that we will now do is we will place the road that you have in the scene right here. So the field road is our main path into the image. And the question is, should the road move something like here and there, and or should the road turn to the left, more to the left? And here we have another field. Yeah, maybe we should try that. I will stop the render process, and I will also deactivate the light preview. I have saved the file, so I will deactivate light preview. It's irritating and too bright. And as I pointed out in the last chapter, I created a draw helper. And for that, we are moving to the Solaris context. Of course, we are going into this one. We have to zoom out a little bit. And here I had placed a draw helper points road. And we will use a new layout for doing this. So I will move this and something like here, so we have more overview. And this is our terrain. We will move this up a little more. And here I will drop down in new merge. This is the place for our road. and here I will put down a layout. And for the layout, we have to use the right shapes where we want to draw on. So currently in this workaround, it's only possible to draw on one mesh at the same time, but this is not a problem. So I will choose this one. This is our painting layout, and I will merge it here, or maybe we should see where we painting. So maybe I should link it temporarily right into here. So, and I call this one, oh, I can do this here, draw helper road. Yeah, draw helper road. We can copy this and move directly up to the field road, to the controls right here. And, or I can choose it as well. So draw helper road should be that. Draw helper road is the road right here. So I will do this red so that we see that we painting. So, and now I go to the layout asset gallery that you have to populate by yourself, and I will drag and drop this cone right in here, this violet cone. I will activate it, and now I see the cone right in here. We can of course scale the cone up. We can already do this right now so that we see where we are. So maybe we should also know where the camera is. So I will relink it with, so here of course we have a camera, and we will see the camera hopefully when we go down here. Here's our camera. So our road should be something like here. So maybe we can scale the guide a little. So as well as here. Yeah, this is our camera. And now I go back to this tool, and I will place the path of our road. You have to make sure that your points are in order. That means you cannot put the points where you want, something like here and there, and go back and forth. That's not possible. So you have to build this road in line. So maybe it could be oh, here we have a different scaling, but that's not an issue. So, and here we will move to the left out of our scene. And this should be our first road. In case we need more, we can draw more, but this is our road. I don't like that the path is moving so much to the right. We can also repaint it by hand. Maybe it should be more something like here. Yeah, maybe we should repaint this, so this is not a problem. We can delete all those points and place new points. So So I hope this will look much better. Road is moving right in here. Here we have our machine. It moves here to the left, and yeah, I think this can look much better. And maybe we should move the camera a little more. Something like, we will probably move the camera more, but 5 meters. Maybe this should be enough for now. So we will delete this connection here. We already have drawn this helper. We can place it here. And all what we have to do is, first of all, we save our file. And we are jumping into the field road. And when we now look at the field road, which is, where is it? We should check if the import has worked. So this is our mesh, and those are our points. They are all looking correct. And here we have the mesh, and here we have the points. Maybe look at the numbers. So we have no point numbers so far. Here's our mesh. And here they are gone, and this is not what we like to see. So I will unpack them to polygons, and maybe it has worked now. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little updating buggy, so you have to redo this. I think it will be cached inside of this node. Don't know exactly. So this is our ground, and this is our road. And yeah, it looks a little bit ugly for now. And those are our points for the path that we have generated. And maybe we should work on the path a little more and use something like a polyspline right in here. We are doing it better in the, not in the lobs context, since it will get rebaked all the time. So I will go back to build. Now we are here, and now it's updating really, really fast. So, and here we can smooth out our lines a little more. And maybe, or maybe we can do this with the smooth itself. So first of all, we jump here, and we probably place a switch in here so that it's not generated all the time. So, because this is constantly exporting. So this is our line, and then we use a smooth, and maybe, yeah, maybe this looks way better. Something like that. Okay, so now the road gets built, and here we can deactivate that. Now the road is generated. We can go back in here. We will link it directly, or we can, yeah, bake it out with a USD ROP. So caches, go back, caches chapters, and we are now in chapter 02. road cache or road 01 USD, and we will bake it. And do we have something? No, we have nothing. Of course, this is because we have loaded this import. We have not baked it out as a USD asset. So I will do this again. And now we should have a road. Yeah. Okay. So we can place it right in here. Road building. So, and of course we need to have the road on point. So I will use a reference as usual and call this road 1. Link it right in here. And I will load this road. And as you can see, it's not entirely working. And of course, we need to figure out how we deal with that. First of all, we need to look if it's placed correctly. And it turns out that the faces are inverted. So we will check this if that's the case. So, and yes, those lines are inverted. Question is why? Probably because we don't have projected it high enough. 2500 maybe. Maybe we should check. Inverted. So what we can do is we can make sure no, that was correct. So what we can do is we can make sure that this is working by reversing the polygons right in here. And now they are looking into the correct direction, hopefully. Yes. So once again, we need to bake out everything. Save to disk, reload. Of course, we have to look through our camera. So here's our road, and the road is really, really small. And we also have the issue that the mesh is not entirely fitting here, and the question is why. What we can do in order to resolve this is, do we have any translation right here? No. What we can do is we go back and import this shape exactly how it is currently into our generator. Exactly at this point. So I will import the layout ground, and we have to make sure that we have the right one. That's not forest, so here we have it. Foreground plane concept. And, or maybe we should rename it already. That's our foreground plane. And we go up into our road and look for the foreground plane. Here we have it. We go to out, import it from here. So that's our mesh. And then we will link it into our array. So now the path should be more closely. We don't need that connection. So we move this up. And this should now work. And this is probably way too high. So I will crank down the resolution on the subdivide, because it will subdivide the entire surface and we don't need that. So we can do something like that. We delete this node entirely. So, or maybe move it right here. So we have projected everything and we need to think about if we need to lift it. Maybe it's enough. So, and here's our road again. And it hopefully looks correct now when we bake it out, save it, and reload it. And now it's stuck in the ground. And this is exactly what I expected. So we should lift up either by moving up the road itself, or the other way would be to directly do it in the lift. So we will go back to our array. And here we have two ways. We can either lift it here. When I would do this 10 right here, you will see it will move into the wrong direction, not what we like. So this is not the place to go. But we can maybe, yeah. This is normal base, so maybe a slightly amount of it. And the rest will be done with a transform. So it's much better now, but still not what we like to see. The road is also very small currently. Maybe we should do this like that. And what we can do now is I will double check if everything is placed correctly. If we have some transformation somewhere. And I will try to move up the road a little bit. Those distances, or the distance between those meshes, is just because of the resolution and how precise we have placed the points. Oh, we have to move back, not move the camera itself. So I will do a test render now, just to see how it will look. And maybe it's not exactly how we would like to see. The road is very small. Maybe the machine is also scaled too high. Or maybe it's just an impression. So what we could do, we could really move the road a little more into that direction. Or the camera. Maybe we should still only move the camera. And probably also scale up the road itself, which has displacements currently. Maybe something like that. We should also check if the road has the proper size. So I will stop that. And where we have it. So this is the width of our line, and it has a size of 4. Maybe we should check once again. Gets placed. And here we have some issues because of the terrain. And that's a sweep. So what we can do, we could make the length a little bigger, something like that. And yeah, we should try to look if it's now fitting much better. So we are going back. Here it's going to the ground. So we have multiple ways of dealing with the situations. We probably scale this up right here. Or we let it here and we will drag down the edges. So first of all, I will rebake and we'll reload since we have now, yeah, that looks better. And maybe something, we go as steep as possible. I think this could look nice. I will start to re-render again. And here we have still this gap, but we can resolve this gap now in the shading. We should also make the road a little brighter. So what I do now is I will drop down a material, where is it? Edit material network. And I will switch back to Solaris. And we'll go into our scene right here. We'll open the road and we'll drag and drop the road material right in here and hit load. And when we now dive into our network, we see our entire material. So of course it gets resorted, sometimes not in a good way, but yes, we will be able to work with it. So I will re-render. And the first thing that we will do, we will make it brighter. So where is our Pixar color corrector? Here. The exposure, 2 stops brighter. Maybe this looks much, much better. And the next thing that we do is, first of all, we stop the render for now and do a new save. Version 4. Do a new render. And we will now work with the displacements on the ramp and the presence. So here we have the edge presence. And as you can see, it's now blending a little better into the environment. What happens if I would deactivate the shadow dropping of this road? It's maybe not that accurate, but just in case, it will resolve a lot of the issues. Since we are not building a physical thing, we can cheat a little bit. I will drag and drop the road right in here, and I will deactivate the transmission. What happens? It will blend a lot better into the scene. So it's not generating shadows anymore. This has the disadvantage that it will not cast shadows on themselves. So like in here, probably we should not do this, but what we can do, we can crank up the quality a little bit. So, and yeah, I think this is looking good so far. Back into the material itself, and here we can play with the transparency. So at this point I also speeded up the recording for you so that you don't have to wait too long. I have played with the shading and with the exact position of the road, so I used the displacement values to move up the edges of the road as well as the insides of the road, or the intersection of the road. And I did it exactly like I have shown in the USD asset presentation, where I showed you how you can deal with this deformation. And now I come back to original speed. Re-render. And I think this kind of looks cool. Yeah. So, next stage. I will save this chapter to chapter 3. So this is our start for the next chapter. And I see you in the next chapter. See you.